Okay, I bring to you the Itaste VV. This is going to essentially be a follow-up, even though I have not done any Ego type of reviews up to this point, but I've got a couple used units here that I've used for quite a while, and so this is the reason for it being sort of like a follow-up, because I know quite a bit about them. Real simple device to use. Okay, it's got on-off feature. You just pop that button a bunch of times till it shuts off. Pop it again till it flashes through a couple colors. Okay, when you push the button, it's got a good charge on the battery. Battery being 800 milliamp hours, by the way, it turns green. Okay, so there's a green light on there that lights up, and then when it runs down, on this one in particular, I got 180 puffs before the light changed to yellow. And from using this thing quite a while, I'll tell you that when the light changes yellow, you got to make it a point right away to get to a charger. Okay, and the charging time on this thing is a long time. I mean, I can put an 18350 on a Pila battery charger, and it will be charged up in 30 minutes or so, but if you put this guy on the charger, it's going to take hours and hours. Okay, I'm talking like 4 hours, maybe even longer sometimes. There's two different kinds of this, okay, and one's got a cap on it, and it has magnets in there, and we'll get to that. And then this one here, which just has your basic native 510 connection. Okay, doesn't have any outer threads. It's just got a chrome cone looking thing. Alright, it kind of resembles an Ego, okay, but doesn't have these threads out here. With that being said, sometimes some things, this will fit perfectly fine on an Ego because it has the outer threads on it, but it would be nice if this, since they didn't use this for anything but looks, if they made that just a little bit smaller, or actually made it functional and put some threads on there. This could have covered that up and it would have looked nice, but the diameters don't match up good enough for this thing to actually fit over there, and you'll be able to use it. There's just too much depth created from that that cone. So alright, here some of the features on this. 3.3 to 5 volts. It has a puff counter on it. Somehow I got away from the colors. The yellow light actually will turn red when you get toward the end, and when you're in between, when you go from green to yellow, you get about 25 more pulls off of it. And then when you go from red, or from yellow to red, you get about 8 pulls off of it. So that's why it's important to get to a charger as soon as this thing turns yellow. Alright, now to adjust the voltage on this, you just push and hold a negative or a positive. The puff counter will come on. It'll tell you your set voltage. You cannot adjust the voltage until the puff counter goes away. Okay. The charger is right here on the bottom, and when you're actually charging this, you want to either unscrew the device or pull the magnet apart, or have something where you can set it on its side, because you can no longer set it upright when it's charging. Okay, and that's going to happen a lot, being is that it takes so many hours for this thing to charge. Okay, but I have had an Ego twist as well. No longer have that. It's not really the game changer everybody was saying it was. The Itaste VV, in my opinion, is much better, much easier to use. But it's, you know, it's an Ego. It's what I would call the second step in vaping. Okay, first step being the little mini cigarette look-alike things that nobody really should ever buy. All right. So here we go. Let me just show you guys what this thing vapes like. It is at 3.8 volts, I believe, and this is a CE4. This came with the Sigelli co-op that I did, and it was just free. And on the actual Z-Max, I said Sigelli telescope, Sigelli Z-Max, it didn't work very well, and I think that's because of the raw amperage that comes out of a larger battery versus something that comes out of a smaller battery. So I think that that's really the reason why these have actually turned into something that is quite valuable for pretty much every vapor, because of the fact it's easy to use, and there are a lot of things that I had since pulled out of the drawer that wouldn't work on something like the ProVary with a big battery, and they work wonders on something like the Itaste or the Ego. Okay, so let me just show you guys what I'm talking about. The vapor production on this thing is great. As you can see, it works well. The taste is good. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is a fix that I found with the tank systems that we all love to hate. Okay, this one here, the magnetic one, it's quite a bit different. It's square. You can fit the cap over the top of it, and the cap is kind of useless unless you're using a tank system. You're not going to use the tank system because you're going to be getting crappy dry hits. But I have actually found a fix for that, and I'm going to show you guys that as well. Okay, so this is how you change out an atomizer, just like that. Okay, it's really nice and easy. You can do the same thing with this. Okay, this one here has got an 808, this one here has got a 510 connection, and they just magnetize down in there, and that's how they make their contact. Okay, there's that. Here is the tank system that I have modified, and I'm going to show you guys what this thing's doing. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the unmodified one, I can tell. Alright, so here's the modified one. Alright, as you can tell, it's much better. So I'm just going to go over what I actually did to this one. Actually, I'll show you the one that's unmodified, and I've kept it unmodified for this video. Okay, you got a needle right here. Basically, what you got is the cap that sits on the tank. Okay, and that cap will actually be pierced by the atomizer in there. Most everybody knows what those look like. And it's supposed to feed the juice down into the atomizer whenever it needs it. The problem is that with this, you have a flap of plastic in the cap, and that flap of plastic essentially stops juice from going down into the atomizer, and a lot of people really hate these things for that reason. Okay, so what you do is, what I do is I stuck a needle in there, and then I could raise the flap up, kind of push it to the side a little bit, so that you can get a really nice view of the flap as it's pushed up, and get some needle nose pliers in there and just rip that flap out of the way. And you know the problem with that is that if you just have a bunch of tanks, they're gonna leak. You've got to have something to cap them off so that they don't leak out. But with this setup here in particular, you can always keep it on an atomizer and it don't leak. Okay, so you just keep it in there like that, and you're good to go. Okay, that's gonna do it for the Itaste VV. Thank you for watching. A couple of things I left out on these magnet connectors. You can buy these, and they're generally about $8 a piece. Okay, and also, being is that these things are magnets somehow, some way, metal always seems to find its way in there, and I don't know if you can see that, but there is always some metal stuck to these, so you always want to make sure you're keeping that clean so you don't have a short. There's a magnet down in here which always needs to be cleaned. Magnet up in here. Okay, as far as the buttons go down here to adjust the voltage, I haven't had any problem with the button up top. I haven't had any problems with this device firing or not firing, sticking, anything like that. Okay, it's not a clicky button, it's just a push button. Okay, and these buttons down here are the same way. However, these ones aren't. They're a lot smaller, a lot less value of construction there, so to speak, because of the fact that this one here being older, it's almost like pushing a board. It doesn't have any spring back, therefore it makes it hard to adjust it. Okay, so you might think, well, the negative button isn't working very well. I'm going to go ahead and just use the positive button, let it round robin, and then I'll catch back up and go to the lower voltage that I wanted to. But you can't do that with this. It doesn't round robin. Okay, so those were just some of the things that I had left out previously. Hopefully I can get these two stitched together, and I believe that I've gotten everything. There are two chargers. This is the better of the two because it gets, you can compact it, okay, and it stretches out to about 2.5 feet probably, I'd say. Alright, and yeah, it's pretty small, but the other one's just your standard charger. It's about the same length, but it doesn't wind up and it's not as convenient. So alright, that should do it. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out. Yeah, there's not really much to this. So alright, thanks for watching.